Hello, this is Sandra Brown of Happiness Past 60. And as promised, I'm going to share with you today about my experiences and time spent on eBay, selling on eBay, and how that all started. I was a power seller. I know I ran across a couple different awards that they had sent me. You had to keep, I forget, I think, you had to have maybe at least 98% good feedback from your customers. You were absolutely controlled by your customers in a way. If they weren't happy by the least little thing, you could, they give you bad feedback, and people see that, and you can't explain it to them. So that was kind of rough. Now, as far as with Amazon, they only stick up actually mostly for the customer. They really do take care of the customer. And I guess that's okay, because a lot of times we're the customer, right? But on eBay, yeah, it was so different than selling on Amazon. One thing on Amazon, you have products, like I have a nephew who is very successful. I mean, very successful on Amazon. But what he does is he basically ships things in boxes to Amazon. What's nice though is Amazon actually takes care of everything then. They take care of all the orders and they ship them out. That's why you get things quicker from people who sell their items through Amazon, because they do the shipping and they're quick about it because that's what they do. They have a lot of employees, and the order comes in, the orders go out. Some people, they're shipping it themselves, and they have to drive to the post office. They have to wrap things up. It's just, and they have a life. It's harder for them. But eBay, now, when you're selling there, you do all the packing. You do all the questions. You have to have feedback to them too, like what a great customer they were, how they paid their lightning fast payments and stuff like this, So it was difficult, and I just didn't have a lot. I mean, everything was done by hand. I had just paper and pen. I would write down about each customer and all the information and when it was sent out. And well, anyways, I didn't start right away on eBay. I started, I think it was one day I went to Country Sampler. Now, how many of you ladies remember Country Sampler? I don't know how long they've been out of business, but that was when all the country stuff was really in. I mean, I was in it too. I mean, I loved it. It was so homey and nice, but I think they got to a stage with it where it was very cluttered, and then they got to that stage of the cows and just too much, So, and even if it was fun and it was good and we loved it, they always have us change. They always change to something else. And when they do, here we go again. We're getting rid of stuff and starting something else. So anyways, Country Sampler, I went there one day, and it was really hard to find. I know people, they don't use doilies and things now. I know, so I do a little bit, lace things, but my mother used to crochet all the time, some beautiful doilies, and I crocheted from the time I was young. And I went there one day, and they had the most beautiful display of all kinds of lace. It was tablecloths and wall hangings and doilies and runners and placemats. I just thought they were so pretty. but it was getting like less and less when I'd go. Like they weren't keeping it up. And I happened to one day when I went in, I ran into the couple who were supplying that particular station with the heritage lace. And we began talking, and I told them how much I loved the lace and things. And I said, what? And she told me that they were going to be probably pulling out. Well, after a long conversation, they asked me if I'd like to take over that station. And I was excited about it. It's like, yes. So I began working in that store, keeping up that, I purchased the lace wholesale. They would send me catalogs of it, and that was so exciting. And I would order, the lace I wanted. Then I would take it to the stores and price it. And you go in there every once in a while and straighten it, because the lace would always get really messy. But not only did I do that, then I start really branching out in that store. So there's booths that you rent. So you rented the booth for that. Well, I ended up, not with just countries with the heritage lace, but I ended up renting out 8 different booths at Country Sampler. And so we were making, my husband was a craftsman, and we were making, remember the big long wooden shelves with the pegs on them they used to do? I mean, we did that. Different kind of cupboards. Oh, I was growing, we lived on 10 acres, okay? So I was growing all kind of flowers that dried well, and I had them drying all over in my basement utility room from the ceiling. My sister remembers that. They'd come to spend the night, and there was a spare bedroom downstairs, and they get up in the night, you have to try to get through all the hanging drying flowers. It was all over, because with these dried flowers I would make wreaths that start out with that. But then later on I was buying wreaths and making Christmas wreaths, and then I started buying things wholesale and selling that. I don't forget what off, but like I said, I had 8 different booths with that. So then, okay, with the heritage lace, then I started shipping it to 8 different stores. And I was so excited, because I think it was like a fax machine I had, and it would come in, I think once, was it a month maybe? It would come in and show what I sold. Oh, they were just so excited. I'd hear that machine and the paper coming up. Big deal to me. And so that was really interesting. And then and none of this was, I made some money, but none of it was lucrative, I'll put it this way. So then I was introduced to a computer, which was new to me. And I decided, okay, I'm pulling all this stuff out of these stores, because I was just ordering too much, and I had so much stock. After I pulled all the stuff out, I had all this lace to get rid of. So I ended up selling all this on eBay, and my name was My Lace Lady. But from selling lace on eBay, I began selling all kind of things. I'd just even go around the house, and I would find stuff to sell, because on eBay they like things that there's not. Let's say, like now you can buy multiple items of one thing new, but there are a lot of collectors on eBay, and I would go through my husband's drawer and find crazy stuff, and I'd ask, "Do you want this?" I'd find a little knife that came from a clothing store in Crown Point, Indiana, where they sold suits, and when you bought a suit, they give you a pocket knife. But it was, my husband was 70s or 80s, and so the knife was really old, just a little tiny knife. But it was like, okay, $40 I sold it for, because someone had lived in Crown Point, and in high school they bought their first suit at that store for a prom, and it was just a good memory for them. And anyways, they wanted that pocket knife. So just all kind of stuff like that. I couldn't begin to tell you the crazy stuff I sold on there. It was just a running joke around the house. I don't believe you sold that. I don't believe you got that much out of it. But, I went to the library once, and they had a book sale. And there was one of the books I bought, I got for $0.10. And I didn't know if it'd be worth anything because it was a library book, But it was about Clark Gable and Carol Lombard. And I bought it for $0.10, and I sold it for over $100. That was very exciting to me because I really needed the money then. So all these sales were great to me. I just loved. We didn't just sell on there. They had bidding wars. I mean, that's what it was. They were bidding on things all the time. So it was so much fun watching it go up, the price go up on something as they bid back and forth. So from that point, I started selling things for other people. Oh my goodness. I couldn't name it, but I've sold sailboats. I sold a motorhome. I've sold a Jeep. My husband's airplane, ultralight. He flew ultralights. And my neighbor, her husband passed away. Well, that's how we end up selling the one motorhome. And the seat that was put in that motorhome, Dick Butkus, the football player, he put that in there because he was a big man and he needed a real big seat, and he traveled with them a lot. And it was kind of interesting. But her name was Sandy, and I'm like, Sandy, I just think I don't know if I still have your phone number. If you, by any chance, I have to say it, Sandy Johnson, okay? If you happen to see me on here, and you might, let me know. And I just want to know how you're doing because, okay, so Sandy, I had sold, the motorhome was hers, and I think her husband's electric chair, he passed away, and she had a house that was over 100 years old. And the house had one of those furnaces in the basement that was, I think they called them octopus furniture. I know you ladies are my age, you've seen them. Those big furnaces with the arms that all go out. And she was by herself. She wanted to move to another state with her daughter. In fact, I think she had purchased a home there, and she needed to get this house sold to put the rest of this money on the home, and she wanted to move. She couldn't move until this house was sold. Now here's the thing. You can't get loans for these houses when they're over 100 years old. It's hard to get a loan for them. So she went through a real estate company, and she had it listed for 6 months. And 6 months, and you ladies probably know that if you're widowed and you're trying to get something sold, that's a long time. So she had that listed for 6 months. It didn't sell. So she turned around and listed it. They had her sign up for another 6 months. She had it listed. It didn't sell. Now they were approaching her with another 6 months. Well, in the meantime, I had sold a lot of things for her. And she came down to the house and she says, asked me if I would sell her house. Well, I'm not a realtor. But I said, sure. And she wanted to pay me, and I said, no, you don't have to pay me. And I said, I'll put it on Craigslist. Now, Craigslist, you got to be careful because it can be very shady. You get all kind of people contacting you, and they're not on the up and up, okay? but you can get stuff sold, but you had to be careful. I haven't been on there for a very, very long time, many years. But anyways, I did put her house on Craigslist. I took a lot of pictures of it. I had all the information that they needed. I'm telling you, I know it was God that did this, but I showed it one time, and I got a buyer, and they paid cash. Because as I said, going to the bank and getting a loan for that house, being it's that old and this old furnace and stuff, they're not going to do it. I tell you, Sandy was so happy, and she did insist I take at least $1,000, which I needed at that time, and it made me really happy, and she was delighted. But she called me her angel. Well, I don't know. It was God that I think that really intervened in this whole thing. All right, now back to eBay. The story gets really crazy. So my husband, as I said, flew ultralights. So I ended up selling. He had more than one. He had some that were basket cases where he had been in an airplane accidents. We had a big pole barn, and they were in there, but so much stuff to sell. Oh my goodness, I was always selling stuff, tools and everything. I couldn't begin to tell you the things I've sold in my life. Oh, God. He was a carpenter for years and a mechanic, and he built everything, and through the years, he had so much already before I married him. We were married for 40 years. Just the accumulation was unbelievable. So now I think at this period of time, gas prices were getting really high. So it was too expensive for a lot of the guys. They were starting to lose interest in flying their ultralights. And we had people he had friends who would come to our house because we had 10 acres of grass, and they used it for a runway. And they seen that I sold Larry's ultralights, and they start asking if I would sell theirs. So, and they paid me, so I would take pictures of them and get all the information and handle everything for them, and I would sell them on eBay. And they were delighted over that. So I ended up, before it was over with everybody, it was 9 airplanes, counting some of my husband's, that I sold on eBay. It's really crazy. Starting from a lace doily to airplanes. How things go. So then, now, we were getting some stuff sold. And I was happy. The more stuff we sold, more I could get out of that pole barn. Then one day, we were in the driveway, getting ready to go somewhere, and a truck pulled up into the driveway and we're in our van, they're in their truck, and the guys are talking back and forth. And this guy's telling Larry about another airplane. And I'm like, not another airplane. We're just getting rid of them. And the minute the guy left, what he told Larry was, there's this lady and Larry had seen this plane before. It was an osprey, which means it lands on the water. Okay. Well, there was no motor in it. It was the skins. It had the skins on it, and it was all put together, but didn't have any motor. And she had been asking $10,000 for it. But now she just wanted to get rid of it because she couldn't get it sold, and her husband, had passed, as I said, so she would take $800 for it. So Larry, after the man left, Larry turned to me and he goes, "Don't worry, I'm not going to buy it for myself." He says, "But," he says, "if I if I buy it, he goes, you could sell it on eBay. I'm like, deal, I'll do that. So he went there and he gave her $1,000. She was asking $8,000, but he gave her $1,000. And so, I mean, it was apart and why the wings are off. So it was the fuselage, which is the body, and then the wings. So we lived in a bi-level, and we had a deck that was real high up in the air. So I stood on the deck, and then he put it together out in the grass, and I took pictures from above in different angles. And then I looked it up and found a lot of really nice pictures of what an osprey looks like, and all the information about it, dimensions, just everything. I really ran into a motherload of good stuff about this osprey. And so I listed it on eBay. I was proud of the listing. It was a good one. Well, as I said, they bid in those days. And you start out with a price, and then you can put on there, I'm trying to think what they used to call that. It's been so long I forget, but where you're only going to go, it has to, at least the bidding has to get up to a certain point before you're going to start accepting it. So anyways, we began watching this, and we were getting bids on it, but I think that we had it on there for 10 days, this auction. Towards the end of the auction, the last day was when it gets exciting. And then it started narrowing down to 2 bidders. And one was called, he called himself, you have names on there, like I was My Lace Lady. One of them was called Blueface, and he was from New York. And the other one, I can't remember what he called himself, but it was some kind of an Irish name. And he was from, I believe it was Glasgow, Ireland. And these 2 were going back and forth bidding. And I said to Larry, if that Irish guy wins, I have no idea how to ship an airplane to Ireland. I've shipped a lot of stuff, but I mean, I don't think I've ever shipped anything to Ireland, number one. And an airplane, I just don't know how to do this. And the other guy, even New York was going to be a problem. Why didn't I think about this before? I don't know. I just was hoping somebody local. I don't know. I would just do things, just sell, I guess. So it ended up they were going back and forth, and Blueface from New York was ahead. Well, my phone rang, and it was a phone call from Ireland. Now, at that time, we didn't have cell phones because this was just the landline. And this guy with the cutest Irish accent, he called and he says he wanted to know if it was all right if he bid on the plane. Well, he was already bidding on the plane, and I just didn't have the heart to say no. So I thought I'll just give the phone to Larry, my husband, and yeah, I just wanted to shove it off, I guess. So Larry took the phone, and after he got up, I go, what did you say? And he goes, yeah, I told him to go ahead. I'm like, oh. So we went in, we were watching, and the price kept going up. Well, dang, you know what? It got up to $8,000. So we made pretty good on that. And we were delighted about that. But we thought Blueface was going to get it from New York. At the very last minute, bingo, the Irish guy came in, he bid on it, and he got it. And I go, oh no, the Irish guy got it. So it was late at night, because now it was after midnight before this. So what they had, I found out, his name is Seamus, and he is a teacher in a trade school, and there were 3 other teachers under him. He was like the principal there. There were 3 other teachers who also, they all together were wanting to get this plane because they don't have a lot of land in Ireland. It's very rocky, so they have to land on in the water, and that's what this was. It was an osprey. So anyways, I was late, and it was late. I don't know what time it was for him in Ireland, but we just went to bed, and hold just a minute. I'll be right back. Okay, so the next day, I'm trying to figure out, and I'm making phone calls, trying to figure out how to do this. And finally, Seamus called me. Or Sean, was it? One of them was Seamus and one was Sean. I think it was Seamus. So Seamus called me, and I just said to him, I go, I don't know how to do this. So I'm going to leave this up to you about how you want it shipped to you. So we had to go, actually he told me they're going to come out of Chicago. And they're going to ship it in a pod. I wasn't sure what a pod was. I keep thinking about that movie, that pod they put under your bed and it took over your body or something. Remember that? I didn't know what it was. So this semi came to the house, and he just thought he was going to pick up. Yeah, he's going to just pick up the plane, but we weren't. Seamus rather asked if he could come and help pack it up, and he wanted to look it over before he put out all this money. I don't blame him. So I said to Seamus, I go, where are you going to stay when you come here? And he says, well, I don't know. I'm going to get a motel somewhere. And I said, well, there's no sense in you getting a motel. I go, you could stay at our house. And so he was delighted in that. And then about a week later, I'm going to make sure I get this right. There were 4 Irish guys. I know it was Seamus and Sean. I wish I could think of all their names now. I'm going to have to try to dig out their photograph. But I ended up with 4 Irish guys because one of them, their son owned a pub Irish pub in Chicago. I remember that. But we had just put 2 bedrooms downstairs in the basement. So it was perfect. There was one king-size bed in one room, and there was a queen in the other. So 2 of the guys in one bed, 2 of the guys in the other. They kind of bunked up together. So I really treated them good. And they drank a lot of tea. About the shipping. So the guy came from Chicago in the semi, and he dropped off the back of the truck, the semi. So that's the pod. Okay, I didn't know what it was. He just could have said it's the back of the truck. So he left it there. They had so much fun. They stayed at our house. I think it was possibly about 4 days. I had so much fun with them. They were just delightful. Excuse me, but I did do a lot of cooking. Yeah, I really did a lot of cooking. They didn't understand a lot of things like pumpkin pie. I remember I made a pumpkin pie, and I'm a good cook. I love to bake and cook. But they were all looking at it, just looking at it. And I thought, And I go, have you guys ever ate a pumpkin pie? Are you familiar with pumpkin pie? And they're going, no. They go, pumpkin pie? So, I mean, they liked it, but it was just like and even pizzas, a lot of different things, they weren't. And then they seen that we were drinking iced tea, and I heard them saying in the other room, they drink iced tea, because see, they drink a lot of hot tea. So I bought an electric kettle, so I had it on all the time for them so they could drink tea. So they were a delight to have. They really, really were. And they invited us to Ireland, which we never took them up on it. But in fact, I was watching a documentary on Ireland last night and it made me think about them. So anyways, they helped pack up the plane, and we gave them a lot of airplane magazines. Larry did, and they left me some chocolate and Irish whiskey, which I don't drink, but I think I gave it away. But they were just, they left me a little money on the bed before they left. They were just very sweet. But I think, how far long did I go? I don't know. I think I got a long video. I was going to do a chit chat, but I've talked so much now on this. But if selling on eBay was delightful. It really was. And you are totally in control there. And I don't know how things are now. I haven't sold on there for years. I went in there and bought a few things when I couldn't find it on Amazon. But I'm sure so much has changed that you don't have to. I know toward the end when I was selling, I didn't have to do so much. But the shipping, you do the shipping. Unless that's changed too. I don't know. It's been a long time. But it was a fun time for me. And gave me a few extra bucks. And I'm trying to think if I've left anything out about all of this. I don't know. Hope not. Okay, guys. It's been very rainy here. Off and on. Sun peeks out once in a while. I got my tomato plants out. My peonies are blooming now. The grass is still very green. And I hope you're getting some warm weather. I really do. All right, so just pray that all of you are doing well. God bless you with, good health, peace of mind. May all your cares be small. And if you're going through any rough times, it's not that you did anything wrong. Actually, the trials and things we go through refines us. It doesn't save us, but it refines us and makes us a little more usable for the Master. It changes us. Let it change you for the good, though. I've seen people go through hard times and they let it destroy them. Don't do that. Don't do that. Who else have we got to turn to? I just remember Peter in the Bible. A lot of them Jesus was saying some hard things, and they were leaving. A lot of disciples and things, they were leaving. And Jesus looked at Peter and he says, Peter, are you going to leave too? And he said, who else? Who else have we got, Lord? And that's how I feel. Why would you ever leave God? Who else have we got? Who loves us like he does? And it'll all work out with him. So don't be afraid if you're going through a trial. Just try to learn from it and let it refine you and make you a better person. Yeah. So, and we can be better used by the Master and show Jesus to people in our lives. Okay, guys, love all of you. Bye. Oh yeah, I always forget. Subscribe, okay? I'm trying to get to 14,000. I take a couple steps forward, a couple steps back. It goes back. So I want to get to 14,000. So if you would subscribe, and then if you like and share, that helps me a lot. It helps YouTube to kind of push me forward. Okay, guys, love all of you. Bye-bye.